today's video, I am going to be using paint that I find at the dollar store. This one is called the Dollar Tree, and that is where everything is $1. So I'm just looking for some acrylic paint, and I'm not sure how it's going to go, but let's see what I can find. So at the Dollar Tree, I found some canvas boards. Got the artist canvas. It's just a canvas board. So this was $1, and then I found some acrylic paints. They had the Crafters Square brand, and then this one is made by Jot. So I'm not sure, the quality of these. I haven't opened these yet. I have not. I have no idea really what to expect, but I figured let's give it a try. They did also have tempera paint, but I was just not even going to go there. Tempera paint is just way too translucent. It's just not really right for dotting. So these acrylic paints are what I've got. I lucked out and found black, which is what I typically use for my base coat, so I've got that. I could find nothing else. Everything else was tempera paint. You have to watch it because it looks just like these same bottles, but it says tempera paint instead of acrylic paint. So this was the only two acrylic paints that I could find. That's what I've got. So I figure I can blend them and make some green and maybe do a yellow, green, blue, a fade, a gradient. So I'm kind of lucky to have found these. At least I can do something with them. So let's go ahead and open up the canvas here. Can't get the label off. It does look quite grainy, and that might make your dots bleed out a little. So probably gonna have to cover this, but possibly not. Let me just see what I've got here. This is stuck to the corner, which is a bummer. It's pretty much glued onto the board. I don't know how to get that off. Alright, that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to experiment here with this, like I said, because I'm going to be covering it up anyway, just for shits and giggles. I just want to try it. So it looks pretty good. Alright. Okay, so it doesn't look like I'll have to gesso the board. I think the board will work just fine. The paint is not very thin, so it didn't bleed into the little divots. So that's a good sign. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole board. Oh my gosh. I don't know what that is. This is covered in stuff. I don't even know what that is. I mean, this is obviously resin, but the other side is like, I don't even know what it is. Alright, I'm going to use a wide, Okay, so I blow dried this, so it is dry. It's a little blotchy, but that's just probably my paint job. I'm not going to blame the paint for that, so just ignore that. Let's just act like we don't see that part. You could just put another layer of paint on if you wanted to. Yellow is always a tough one, and I mean even with the best brands, it is tough to find one that is good and opaque. So I'm going to go with the yellow, and it looks pretty good. Let me try to go over it again here. I guess if it's thick enough, it'll work. There. If we can do it like that. This is a gloss black paint, so it's reflecting the light, and my studio lights are, it's looking funky out here. It's not too bad. I really am not liking this lighting. Alright, so I'm going to go on and start the gradient now. I'm using a majority of yellow and then a little bit of blue. And right from the start, I can see that it is a little dark, but I didn't want to mix anything into it. I really wanted to give this paint a fair shot all on its own. My concern was that I know that most acrylic paints dry way darker. So this is a fair test here. Now I do go on and speed through this part for you because there's really not a whole lot to see. At this point I'm just testing to see how crisp the dots are, because at this point it's wet and it doesn't really look too bad, but once it's dry that will be the real reveal. For my dollar store painting, it has turned out like this, which is just basically too dark. I mean, in certain lighting it looks better, but like that's too dark. You can't really see the difference between the black and the green where it's fading to blue. So I stopped with that one. Now I kind of just want to figure out how to fix this paint, just in case you do have this paint, you've bought it, you don't really want to waste it. I think it still might be salvageable. The texture of it is pretty good. The coverage is, you know, it's fine. It's just too dark and I have no white. So I'm just going to play and experiment with some of my other paints and mix it and see if I can get this paint to work. So while I was waiting for the paint to dry, I decided to run back to the Dollar Tree to try to find some white acrylic paint. Unfortunately, I didn't find any, but I did find these cute little mini stretched canvases. They were in kind of rough shape. They were a little warped, and that was not really something I could work with. So I did remember a tip that I had gotten back a few years ago. If you spritz the back of the canvas with some water, and then you blow dry it, it will tighten all back up for you, and it's such a great little tip. I love that one, so I figured I'd share that while I was experiencing it. So now this is something that I can actually work with. So for the next go round here, I'm going to make another gradient. Now I'm starting off with a lot of paint, going down to each well. I'm making it a little bit less, and then with the other color I do the opposite end. I start with a lot and I go a little bit less the other way. That makes the easiest gradient, I would say. And then just mix up your colors. Now I know that these are dark, and since I already know that, I'm going to cheat because I don't know what else to do. I can't find white, so I'm just going to use my Deco Art white paint. You could just use any other acrylic paint that you have that's white. And I'm going to mix it in and just going to lighten up these colors a little bit to see if I can make something that is useful out of them, because at this point they're just not really going to work for me. Well, it's because I'm using a dark background. If you were using a different color background, they're probably fine the way they were, but I am showing this on a black background, so I do have to lighten these up a little bit and see how this goes. And I can already see a huge difference. It's looking much better. The yellow, before I added any white to it, was very dark. It was a nice color. It's just that it was very like an egg yolk type of yellow, like a really dark, rich yellow. And now it's light and bright and just kind of pops right off. So yeah, I am definitely liking this a whole lot better so far. The next color, again, was definitely a major improvement, at least from comparing it to my first one. And then now my third color, it's almost like a minty green. It looks so much better already. This is one of my all-time favorite gradients, is to go from yellow to green to blue. I love it. I think it's beautiful. Definitely give it a shot. I would say overall, the lesson learned in today's challenge was, if you are stuck with some dark paints and you don't really know what to do, try lightening them up with some white paint. I think that'll do the trick. Here is a comparison again to show you the darker paint against the lighter paint. I know the lighting is terrible. I will not be using gloss paints as a background anymore. Alright, if you found this video useful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, of course, I would absolutely love to have you as a subscriber. Don't forget to check out my beginners playlist for all kinds of extra tips and tricks. Thanks so much for watching.